Hi, this is Emerald and welcome to the Diamond Net, and today I'm going to be talking to you about lucid dreaming and how to do it. Alright, so what a lucid dream is becoming aware within a dream that you're actually dreaming. What lucid means is that you're actually becoming conscious or aware of something, you're kind of sobering up. And so there are a lot of very practical steps that you can take toward achieving this. Now, for me personally, I don't actively practice getting lucid dreams, but I do occasionally have them, like something in the dream will be off where I just realize, ooh, maybe things aren't quite how they seem. I'll question, am I actually dreaming? And sometimes I can become lucid, and then I can start controlling and, kind of guiding my dreams wherever they want to go. And they're really interesting experiences. Now, one of the issues here is that even if you become lucid within a dream, you could easily lose your lucidity because of the fuzziness of the logic within the dream. So this video is going to be all about how to cultivate better dream recall, and then also how to become more aware and to deepen that awareness while you're trying to get into a lucid dream. Alright, so if you follow my channel at all, you'll know that I talk also a lot about having out-of-body experiences, and I want to make a distinction between what an out-of-body experience is and what a lucid dream is. Because with out-of-body experience, the onset is always the same. I'm hearing the high-pitched buzzing noise, that vibration, and the vibrations are happening throughout the body. I'm paralyzed, and it always starts from me lying down and getting up. And the reality that I'm interfacing with is like 99% similar to waking reality, and everything feels very real to the point where the line between what's an out-of-body experience and what's waking reality is very fuzzy. Now with a lucid dream, there's a definite feeling of, oh, I'm definitely dreaming here. The dream logic is still there, even if you're conscious of the fact that you're dreaming. Things change. You look at something one moment, you look away, and it's completely different the next moment. Clocks read the wrong time. Your reflection is funky in the mirror, and nothing really stays that consistent. That said, having a lucid dream is very, very interesting experience and can teach you a lot about yourself. So I think it's a very valuable experience to be able to have, and it's actually a lot easier to induce a lucid dream than to induce an out-of-body experience. So it's one of those things that might only take you about a week to really start getting some traction on your progress with lucid dreaming. So my experiences with lucid dreams have been pretty sporadic. I got really into it back when I was 15, and I read a book about it and I tried to do all of the techniques, and I was able to be successful in a very short amount of time and have quite a few lucid dreams. And then I kind of fell off with it, and I kind of got more interested in out-of-body experience, or just looking into other things that interested me. But I still occasionally have them, and in fact in the past month I've had one or two of them. They didn't really amount to much because I wasn't able to really stabilize the experience, and so I got too excited, and then I ended up snapping myself out of it or waking up, or just losing lucidity from within the dream. So I'll talk a little bit about how to avoid these pitfalls and some things that you can do to increase the amount of lucid dreams that you have. So I want to talk to you a little bit about the benefits of lucid dreaming. So one of the main things that I really like to do when I've had lucid dreams in the past is I like to talk to dream figures to kind of explore myself more deeply, because basically the idea is when you're dreaming, everybody is you. There's no separate person happening within your lucid dream. They're all projections of your own subconscious mind. And so the idea is that you can talk to dream figures or sort of explore into the environment to learn more about yourself. So I think that's like the number one thing, is that you can really come to know yourself in a different way than you're capable of doing in waking life. Also, you can kind of explore around a reality without the limitations of the physical body, much like you could in an out-of-body experience. So you can fly, you can climb a mountain, you can do things that you're not normally physically capable of, breathing underwater, that type of thing. And you can also maybe meet people that you would want to meet. Like one time in one of my lucid dreams, I wanted to meet Leonardo da Vinci. I didn't end up meeting him though. I ended up being in this video game where I saw a little avatar of him. It was a very interesting lucid dream, but the idea is that you could potentially manifest what's in your mind about Leonardo da Vinci or somebody who's long passed and have a conversation with them. Also, if you're an artist or a creative person, oftentimes you can come across things that'll give you ideas to inspire your work with. Like there have been times, like as a painter myself, where I've seen like images within the dream, like, oh, I wish I had painted those. And then I wake up and I'm like, oh, that was a dream. I can use that. So lucid dreaming will help you like sort of project out what's already in your mind that you might not have had access to before. Also, foremost, I consider lucid dreaming to really be a practice in cultivating awareness, and I think this is probably the most important thing. So if you think about it, in your daily life, you might tend to go around in autopilot, so with a lack of awareness from moment to moment. And whenever you're trying to induce a lucid dream, you have to both become aware in reality to train your mind to becoming aware of whether or not your reality is a dream or is actual waking reality. And so you're practicing awareness during the day, and then you can become more aware at night, which will in turn make your dreams even more vivid. So it'll just make your experience of life a lot more conscious and a lot more colorful. All right, so now that you know a little bit about lucid dreaming, let's talk about how you can actually practically do that. How can you actually have a lucid dream? All right, so the first thing you want to do is you want to try to increase your dream recall as much as possible. So you're increasing your awareness within the dream so that you bring your conscious mind into it, so that as little as possible gets lost in translation from dreaming to waking. You might notice, if you're like me, if you're not really paying that much attention during the dream, you don't really remember a lot of it upon waking up. You might just remember images, or you might remember that you had the dream, but you don't remember the details. This is a very different experience from a very vivid dream where you remember it. So you want to start cultivating your ability to have and remember very vivid and detailed dreams. And so the main way to do this is to document your dreams and to prioritize dreaming as an important activity. A lot of times, with work and with the busyness of everyday life, we have a tendency to just want to sleep when we sleep, and we don't focus too much on our dreams. But our dreams can actually give us important psychological information about ourselves. So you have to prioritize dreaming, look up a lot of information on it, watch videos on it, read about dreams, and then most importantly, keep a dream journal and keep it in a very convenient spot next to your bed. That way, if you wake up in the middle of the night and let's say you have a really quick dream, just jot down a few things about the dream so that you remember it later on. Because whenever you're in that in-between state between dreaming and awake, that's when you can start to remember and start to translate that dream over so that you don't lose hold of it. And a lot of times, if you can remember just a few things about the dream, what will come with that is more memories. So every little hook that you have in the dream, like a setting or a person that you saw or something that happened that you remember, that'll help you remember more and more of the dream because it'll trigger deeper memories. So once you've created a practice to deepen your dream recall, what you want to do is you want to start creating a trigger to do reality checks too. So what a reality check is basically where in the middle of your day you ask yourself if you're dreaming. So let's say if every time I looked at a clock, I thought, oh, am I dreaming? That could be a trigger for that, looking at the clock. And then when you're actually asking, am I dreaming, you have to do a really serious inquiry about that as though you were in a dream, even though you are awake. So for example, if I look at the clock, that's my trigger, and then I ask myself, am I dreaming? What I might do to check that is I might ask myself, oh, how did I get here? And then I have to try to remember back to where I was. Now in waking life, this is going to be pretty easy. It's like, oh yeah, I was just in the kitchen getting a snack, or maybe I was just out in the living room, or I was here, I was there. In a dream, things aren't exactly linear, and so you're not going to really be able to remember how you got there or how one scene of a dream relates to another. Or even if it does, it's still going to be a little bit off. So this will be a cue there. You're trying to look for anomalies in your experience. Also, if you look at the clock in a dream, you'll realize that if you look away from the clock and you look back, the clock probably isn't going to read the right time. The same goes for any kind of reading. You won't be able to read properly in a dream. And if you look away from a paper and you look back at the paper, it's going to be completely different. So these are really good reality checks to do. Also, you can look at your feet, see how your feet are planting on the floor, see if that's happening right. Look at your hands. Sometimes your hands will do weird things and they won't look like your hands. One common one is that you should hold your nose and try to breathe through it. And there are a billion other ones too. Anything that's going to indicate to you that you're awake and not dreaming while you're awake or dreaming while you're asleep. And the thing about this is that you want to do it really often. So you want to set your trigger up to be something that happens at least 10 times a day. So let's say every time you get a text message, you go through the process, ask yourself, am I dreaming? Look at your hands, turn on a light switch, try to work electronics, try to do something that would work in reality but does not work in a dream. So do that 10 times a day. Text message, or maybe every time you see a cat, or maybe every time somebody talks about the presidential election, which happens a lot, or maybe every time you hear a bird chirping outside or a dog barking outside, anything like that, anything that happens frequently enough for you to get into the habit of asking yourself while you're awake that you're dreaming. All right, so now I'm going to go over a few techniques for lucid dreaming. There are hundreds of techniques probably out there. I saw a bunch, but these are the ones that I think would probably benefit you the most and are probably the most common. So the first one is DILD lucid dreaming, so dream-induced lucid dreaming. So the DILD technique is basically what most people kind of happen into if they happen to have a lucid dream. It's the most common, and basically it's where you realize that something is weird or off during the dream, and then you realize, oh, I'm dreaming, you know, so the realization happens from within the dream, you know, and sometimes these can happen spontaneously, and it's always some strange scenario. Like one time I was dreaming, and I was talking to my mom's friend Faye, who had passed several years earlier, and I was like, wait a second, oh my gosh, you're dead. How am I talking to you? And I was like, oh, I'm dreaming, you know, so that helped me to realize. All right, so the next method that I'm going to be talking about is the mild lucid dreaming technique. So that's mnemonic induced lucid dreaming. And so basically this is where you set a verbal intention that you're going to have a lucid dream. So right when you're about to fall asleep, right when you're in that sleepy stage, you know, when, you know, you're not so much in the active brainwave state, but more in the hypnagogic state, what you're going to be saying to yourself is, I'm going to have a lucid dream tonight. Or when I'm asleep, I will realize that I'm dreaming, or I will have a lucid dream, or whatever mnemonic you think is going to work best for you. You can also imagine yourself in this state using one of your triggers to realize that you're dreaming. So for example, if getting a text message was your trigger, it's like you imagine yourself in this mnemonic induced lucid dreaming induction. What you're going to do is you're going to imagine yourself getting a text message and asking yourself if you're dreaming. And so because you're in that foggy state right before sleep, these things will set a lot more easily. Sort of like if you say, oh, I'm going to wake up at 7 in the morning, and then you happen to wake up at 7 in the morning because you set that intention earlier on in the night. All right, the next method is wild lucid dreaming. So that's wake-induced lucid dreaming. Now this one's a little bit trickier, and I may actually do a full video on wake-induced lucid dreaming in the future. But basically, that's where you start out in sleep paralysis. And if you're familiar with my channel, you'll know that sleep paralysis is the state that is sort of the gateway to astral projection, to out-of-body experience. But there's also an opposite direction you can go with sleep paralysis, and you can use that to sort of drift your way down into a dream so that you still remain conscious and cognizant of the fact that you're dreaming. So while you're in sleep paralysis, you stay really still and you start to notice the visual phenomena that happens behind your eyes when they're closed. You know, those like weird lights that you might see, and these tend to increase a lot when you're sleepy. You tend to see visuals. And so you want to focus on those visuals, and eventually those visuals will form into a scene around you, and then you know that you're sort of lowering down into the dream. And so you want to internally kind of remind yourself that you want to remain lucid during that dream. And then you can work on deepening the dream experience, which I'll talk a little bit about in just a few minutes. So wild lucid dreaming is probably one of the trickier methods, but it's also one of the more vivid types of lucid dreams. These I sometimes have just by happenstance. When I'm trying to have an out-of-body experience, I'll accidentally, instead of getting up and going out into reality, what I'll do is I'll accidentally fall asleep, and then I'll still be realizing that I'm dreaming. And those are usually pretty interesting too in their own right. Alright, so the last method that I'll tell you about in this video, and like I said, there are plenty of other ones, is the wake back to bed method, or WBTB. And so what you're doing here is you're waking yourself up during a time when you know that you're dreaming, and then you are falling back asleep with the intention of maintaining a lucid state. So basically, the way that dreaming works throughout the night is that during your 8-hour cycle of sleep, you have, it's a very active process. And so it goes through 5 different stages. Stage 1, Stage 2, Stage 3, and Stage 4, and then REM sleep. And when you dream, that's during REM sleep. So you hit REM about 4 to 5 times a night. And each time, these cycles start to increase in length. So at first, during your first REM cycle, which occurs around 90 minutes into sleep, that's maybe a bit shorter, maybe just 10 minutes to 15 minutes. And then toward the end of the night, you might even have like a 20 to 25 minutes in your REM cycle. And so what you want to do is you want to time your wake back to bed method for your maybe 3rd or 4th REM cycle of the night. That way you have some rest already, and you actually can keep your focus a bit better. And also the REM cycle is longer. So this usually happens maybe 4.5 to 6 hours through the night. You can set an alarm, wake yourself up, only wake up to set off the alarm, and then you're going to lay very still in the bed, and you're going to set that intention, sort of like with the mild induced lucid dream. What you're going to do is just set that intention that you're going to maintain your awareness and have a lucid dream. And very often, this is a successful method. Now, of course, if you have something important that you have to wake up early for, that you need a lot of rest for, you might not want to try this one. But if you have some extra time the next day, you can sleep in a little bit, this is a great one to try. Alright, so the next thing I want to talk about is how to maintain the experience of having a lucid dream. What I've found that in the past, when I've been able to achieve lucid dreams, sometimes I either lose lucidity, like I forget that I'm dreaming even after having realized it, or I get so excited about the fact that I'm having a lucid dream and that my possibilities are endless, that I just get so excited that I accidentally wake myself up or just can't move during the dream. So what you want to do when you're dealing with the first experience of just losing awareness that you're dreaming, really this is an awareness problem in general. So you want to really be doing those reality checks during the day, really starting to become aware and become mindful in waking life. But then also while you're dreaming, you want to start becoming more mindful of things. And so you want to pick things up, you want to look at them from all angles, you want to touch them, you want to really engage your 5 senses. Like start to smell things, see if there's any particular tastes or smells that you can pick up on. Get really aware of what you're looking at, what you're hearing, what you're feeling. So you really want to get in touch with what seems very solid about your reality, and that will help solidify your reality, which will in turn make your awareness become more vivid and more colorful in terms of just how you're experiencing the dream. So, because your dream springs from your consciousness, the more conscious you are, the more vivid your dream is going to be, and the more able you're going to be able to feel like your dream is a really solid reality. Now, if you have the experience of not being able to control your experience or just getting too excited, what you want to do is you want to relax into the circumstances of the dream. So you don't want to try to be creating things right away and changing your experience. What you want to do is you want to just go with the flow of whatever's happening in that time until you really have a solid dream that you're existing within. So for example, if I'm having a dream that I'm in a schoolroom, but I'd rather be mountain climbing, what I'm going to do is I'm going to just become really aware of what's going on in the schoolroom and really relax into that experience and allow whatever experience is to come. So, not trying to manifest any particular thing into that dream, just accepting it as it is. And once you've maintained your dream, that's when you can go ahead and you can create whatever you want in your dream space. But until then, your dream's not stable. So you want to take the time to really stabilize your dream. All right, so now that you know some basic information about how lucid dreaming works and how you can maintain those experiences in order to create things, here are some ideas of things that you can do during a lucid dream in order to kind of just have more novel experiences and deepen your experience. So one thing is, I think that if lucid dreaming has a practical application, I think it's becoming more aware. So you could try an activity like meditating while in a lucid dream, or you can even do self-inquiry where you're questioning the nature of yourself. So during waking life, you might have a self-inquiry practice where you're asking, who's perceiving this? You know, in order to get down to your existential nature. What you can do during a lucid dream, because the existential nature is ever present all the time, it's constantly there even before birth and after death, you can ask yourself, like, what's perceiving this dream? You know, and also you can look at your body and realize that your dream body is not the thing that your experience is coming from. So this will help kind of give you a little bit more open-mindedness toward the self-inquiry process than you might normally have in waking life. So this is like my #1 suggestion to do, especially if you're someone on my channel who's seeking enlightenment, because there have been people who've gotten enlightened in their sleep. However, if you're not interested in enlightenment, it's definitely a novel experience to have, and it's also good for becoming aware of yourself. So you want to talk to as many dream figures as possible. And what I personally like to do is I like to search in places that you wouldn't think to search. So like inside of cabinets, inside of closets, you know, open books, see what's in there. Go to grocery stores, open up the boxes, you know, see what you find there, because really that is the contents of your subconscious mind being projected out before you. And so it gives you this really unique opportunity to explore yourself in a way that you normally wouldn't be able to. You can also try to create things, manifest things, create other worlds, fly, breathe underwater, do anything that you would not normally be able to do in waking life, and do it in a dream. Also, if you come across, like, let's say a nightmarish figure, or, you know, something like that that you don't feel like you can control, you know, if you want to wake yourself up, what you can do is you can just try to focus your eyes, because if you're during rapid eye movement sleep, you know, focusing your eyes will actually help get you out of the experience. But if you want to face that fear head on, you can ask, like, where did you come from and what do you want? And so sometimes, you know, they won't say anything, or they say something stupid, so that'll take the fear away. But sometimes they'll say something that you can remember later on in life, and you can start to think about what the meaning of that was, and why you were so uncomfortable with that. So a lot of psychological theories, including Jungian psychology, state that everything in your dream has some kind of significance to your life and to becoming more whole and integrating your shadow and things like that. And so that's a really interesting and a very valuable thing to have if you're going about your dream in a more conscious way. So it's like allowing you to have experiences that you wouldn't normally have in life that might allow you to integrate further. But anyway, I hope that you give lucid dreaming a try. It's really pretty simple. It's a very novel, interesting experience, and I think it can be a very valuable experience too. But that's all I have for you for now. I hope that you enjoyed this video. If you did, go ahead and click the like button below and subscribe. Also, if you're the type of person that's interested in aspects of their internal experience and gaining more self-knowledge and getting more in touch with their wisdom, you know, my channel is all about that. It's all about wisdom, spirituality, psychology, how those things intersect, creativity, and really just anything that has to do with inner work. So if you like those things, this channel is definitely right up your alley. Also, check out my website, thediamondnet.org. I have my blog on there that I'm going to start writing on again. I've been slacking on that one. But I post all my videos up there. You can even sign up for content updates, which I'm going to be doing weekly, and then also a monthly newsletter just to kind of give you an idea of what direction that I want to take my channel in and what to expect. But really, that's all I have for you for now. And until next time, keep becoming more you.